Yo, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on this 2009 Chevy Traverse with a 3.6 liter engine right behind me. We're gonna be doing the front struts, we're gonna be doing the rear shocks. I'm gonna take you guys through the whole process of replacing struts and shocks. First thing I want to do is I want to go on a little test drive so that you guys can see what the suspension looks like, what everything under the car looks like as you're driving, because a lot of us take our cars for granted, right? We get in the car, we start it up, all we have to do is shift, use the brake pedal, use the gas pedal, and we go on with our day. But we never think about how much work the car is actually putting in for us so we can get from point A to point B. Before we do anything on this car, we're going to go on a little test drive so that you guys can see how the worn suspension components look. On this one, the front right strut is leaking. It's making a noise as we're driving. It sounds like a rattling as you're going over bumps, not necessarily big street bumps, just an uneven street, and as the car's driving down the road you can actually hear the rattling. So we're gonna take you under the car and we're gonna see if you guys can pick this up. So let's go on a little test drive. Boom! There you have it, guys. That is a quick test drive on this 2009 Chevy Traverse. You guys saw how everything is working under the car as far as the suspension, steering components go, the struts, the axle, the control arms. You can see how everything is moving under the car and how much work this car is putting in. And all you're doing is when you're driving in the car, you're just sitting and you're not even thinking about what's happening under the car, but it's a lot going on under there. So from the time I got the truck to now, I've put about 100,000 miles on it, and I've never replaced the struts or the shocks. So this is why I'm doing complete strut assemblies. We're gonna get the new shock, a new spring, a new strut mount, everything new, so that we don't have any problems with any other components as far as suspension goes. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these wipers right here. I'm going to remove the wiper cowl so that we can access the top of the strut. After we do that, then we can raise it up, put it on jack stands. Then we can remove the strut, put a new one in there, put everything back together. Then we'll go on another test drive so that you guys can see a before and after comparison on old strut to new struts. And this will give you an idea as to whether or not you need to replace your struts or your shocks on your car or truck. Let's go.
Alright, we're going to start off here by removing this ground stud for jump starting your vehicle. After this, we can remove the many clips that are holding this wiper cowl down. Now, one thing that I do recommend is that you get a clip remover like this one. This one is made from Snap-on, but I will put links to other ones that I own down in the description below. All you got to do is stick this under the clip, pry up a little bit, and the clip comes right off. Now, there is other ways you can do it. You can also get a flathead screwdriver, and with that flathead, you stick it inside the little clip right here. This little flat piece of the clip, you can pry up on it, and then you can take the clip off that way. But a clip remover is a very inexpensive, very handy tool to have, so invest in one. Link in the description below for you to get one. Okay, the next thing we do is we gotta have access to these wiper nuts, so just remove this little wiper cover that's right here by prying it off. Then using a 50mm socket, you can take that wiper nut off. Okay, now in order to remove the wiper arms from the vehicle, you're going to have to bend the wiper arm up into a 90-degree angle. What this does is that it relieves tension on the wiper arm, and all you got to do is wiggle it a little bit while you're pulling up at the same time. Now, if you can't do that, try spraying a little bit of WD-40 or some kind of lubricant down into the wiper arm, and you should be able to just wiggle it and pull it out of the way. Now, if that doesn't work, then there is a special tool that you can use. This is a wiper arm puller. It also works on battery terminals. You pretty much turn it, these arms move around the wiper motor, similar to a ball joint puller or a tie rod separator. It's the same principle, it just goes around the wiper arm motor, and as you turn this little knob, it pulls up on the wiper motor and it comes out of place. And again, all the tools that I use in this video and in any of my other videos are all going to be linked down in the description below, so feel free to check that out if you're interested in purchasing any of these tools. Now we continue here by taking off the rest of the plastic from this truck, the fuse box cover, which is also going to be in the way of us removing this wiper cowl plastic chingadera. Now with all the plastic out of the way, you can clearly see the top of the strut right there on the driver's side, and the same thing on the passenger side, which is the side that I'm going to be showing you guys today. So now with all this plastic removed, it's crazy how much more space we have to work now. Now that we have all this off, we can go down under the truck, remove the tire, and start working on removing this strut. Okay, here's a quick tip for you guys. If you're going to be doing a lot of wheel and tire removal, invest in one of these sockets. This one right here is a 22mm on one side, 22.5mm on the other side. And this is going to come in handy when you're taking off those wheels that have those chrome covers. And then you're going to notice that your lug nut is going to get stuck in the socket. You're going to wish you had one of these sockets right here. So check the description of the video. Links to all the tools are going to be down in there, so feel free to check them out. Okay, to remove the struts on this 2009 Chevy Traverse, we're using a 24mm socket. along with my Milwaukee cordless impact wrench. If you guys have been following my videos for a while, you know that I don't even go after the air compressor anymore. I go straight for the Milwaukee cordless impact because it makes quick work of removing nuts like this. Now for the bottom nut, I'm going to use a Milwaukee with a 3-inch extension along with the 24mm socket, and it comes right off again. Okay, to remove the sway bar link from the strut, you're going to use an 18mm socket to turn it counterclockwise. Now usually what's going to happen is that the nut and the sway bar end link will turn together. So what I use is a pair of pliers like this, a pretty thin set of pliers, and I grab the sway bar link from behind while I give it another zap with the gun. Now if this doesn't work, what you can use is a wrench. It's an 18mm wrench to hold on to the nut, and along with this you're going to use an 8mm socket which fits on the end of the sway bar link, and instead of going counterclockwise on the sway bar link, you're going to go clockwise, and this does the same thing as if you were turning the nut counterclockwise. I hope that makes sense to you guys. For the top 3 strut nuts, we use a 15mm socket along with a swivel or a 3-inch extension to make quick work of those nuts. Okay, one thing that I did not do here that you should do is put a jack under the spindle on the ball joint to help support the spindle up. This way you won't put any stress on the brake line like I'm doing here. After you do that, you can go ahead and remove the strut, put the new one on there, and you're good to go. Now there's 2 ways you can go about it. You can put the strut onto the knuckle like I'm doing here, or you can put it straight up into the body and support it by the 3 nuts. But the way I'm doing it is I put it onto the knuckle, and then with the jack I help it up, and then I can just guide it into place, put the 3 nuts up on top, and then we're good to go after this. Okay, everything from here on out is going to be the reverse of the removal. So when it comes to the sway bar link, if you can't put the nut back on with the impact wrench, then what you want to do is the same thing. Use an 18mm wrench to hold the nut, and with the 8mm socket, you're going to turn the sway bar link counterclockwise, and what this is going to do is it's going to tighten the nut, and then you just go back with the Milwaukee impact wrench or whatever wrench you have and zap it. Now you're going to notice that on the bottom strut hole, this one is elongated. Now this allows for camber adjustment when it comes time to do an alignment. Now what I do here is I just leave it centered, I tighten the top nut, and then I go double check and I make sure that it doesn't move. Now I don't know where it's supposed to be, but I leave it centered, or I try to match it with the old strut, just so that when it comes time to do an alignment, my specs are not too far off. So you can see right here on the old strut, it's pretty much centered. So I'm dead on right here, and all I'm going to do is zap it. And after this, you can put the wheels back, take it on a quick test drive, and on your test drive, you'll be able to tell if your alignment is far off, but it's always a good idea to take it to an alignment shop and have your alignment checked. Okay, from here on, it's just a matter of putting all the plastics back, the wiper cowl, the front radiator cover, the fuse box cover, and then putting all the clips back, putting the wipers back into the exact same spot, or pretty close to the exact spot where they were, and then just zap them down with the 15mm socket. And after all the plastics are back in, close the hood, and go on a second test drive to verify that we got new struts that are working better than the old struts. Alright guys, brand new strut in here, about to go on the second test drive. Now I want you guys to not just pay attention to the strut, but also the control arm, the sway bar link, how much the tire bounces up and down, the bounce and rebound of the strut, because there's a lot going on down here. It's not just the strut that takes care of the suspension part, it's a combination of things. It's a teamwork effort down here, guys. So here we go, about to exit my driveway. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. One thing to notice too is that just because this is a smooth road, it does not mean that the strut is not putting in work. This strut is constantly working. When you're braking, when you're accelerating, it's not just about going over dips, going over bumps, going over a rough road. If it's a smooth road, the strut is still putting in work, and that's something that you're going to see here in the video. So keep watching, enjoy the rest of the video, guys. One of the reasons that I recommend replacing your struts as a complete assembly is because if you notice, this is a McPherson strut suspension. That means that the lower ball joint is turning and the top of the strut is turning every time the wheel turns left and right. This truck does not use an upper control arm. If it had an upper control arm, the strut would not be turning. The turning would be done at the lower ball joint and the upper ball joint. So in this type of suspension, the top of the strut has bearings that allow for easier turning but also wear out over time. This is why I recommend a complete assembly with a new strut mount, and a new coil spring. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of this video. If you guys like what you saw here and you want to see more of these car videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave me your comments. Let me know what you guys liked about it and what kind of other videos you guys want to see, and we'll make that happen for you guys. That's it for this one, homies. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, take care, and whatever you're working on out there, échale ganas.